Welcome to AITA Stories. Let me take you on a ride. Imagine working from home. You've built your life around routines, comfort, and calm. But then, someone else steps in, uninvited. Not for a day, not for a week, but indefinitely. And suddenly, your home is no longer yours. That's the situation I found myself in. Let's start from the beginning. I, a 32-year-old woman, live in a 3-bedroom house with my husband. It's a peaceful home, with space set aside for both of us to work, especially me, since I work remotely and need quiet for my job. The 3rd bedroom has always been our home office. It's where I take meetings, write reports, and handle my 9-to-5 in peace. But recently, my brother-in-law, who's 26, got evicted from his apartment. He didn't really have a backup plan. He also doesn't have a job right now and told us he needed a place to stay while he gets back on his feet. Now, here's the thing. I was okay with him staying for a few days. I'm not heartless, but that few days quickly turned into a week, and then 2. And suddenly, I'm struggling to concentrate in my own home because we had to give up the office space so he'd have somewhere to sleep. And now, I'm working from the kitchen table. Not ideal. It's loud. It's distracting. My productivity has taken a serious hit. I've had to reschedule meetings and even missed a deadline. My husband? He doesn't seem to mind. He loves his brother and sees this as a temporary blip. But it's not temporary anymore. There's no exit plan, and I'm the one paying the price. I finally snapped after a particularly rough workday when I had to take a client call from my car because the kitchen was too noisy and my brother-in-law was binge-watching some show at full volume. That night, I told my husband he needs to get a hotel, or, at the very least, figure out another place to crash. It wasn't meant to be cruel. It was survival. I'm tired. I'm stressed. And my work is suffering. But of course, my husband didn't take it well. He said I was being cold and selfish. That family helps family, and his brother is going through a hard time. That we can make this work a little longer. I reminded him that my income pays for a big chunk of our bills, and that if I lose this job, it's going to hurt both of us. But he just kept saying that I should be more understanding. To make things worse, my brother-in-law overheard the conversation. The next morning, he looked totally defeated. He said he didn't want to be a burden, and he'd start figuring things out. But later that day, I got a call from my mother-in-law. Let me tell you, that was not a friendly chat. She accused me of being heartless, of throwing family out on the street, of caring more about my precious work than a person. I tried to explain my side, but she wasn't having it. Now, my husband barely speaks to me, and I'm sleeping in the guest room, which ironically used to be our home office. My brother-in-law is still here, still jobless, and still watching TV all day while I work from my laptop on the edge of the dining table. I feel like a stranger in my own home, and I keep asking myself, am I the asshole? Let's break this down. On the surface, this seems like a conflict between work and family, between comfort and compassion. But deeper than that, it's a story about boundaries, healthy boundaries. Let's not forget, this isn't a 5-bedroom mansion. This is a shared home where both adults work and pay bills. And in that equation, having a quiet, dedicated space for remote work isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's what puts food on the table. And when that's compromised for someone who isn't contributing financially or otherwise, the equation becomes imbalanced. Now let's talk about the brother-in-law. Yes, life happens. Evictions suck. Job losses happen, but 2 weeks into a stay, and there's still no sign of a plan. That's not a crisis anymore. That's comfort. And if the in-laws and husband really cared that much, maybe someone else could have stepped up. Why is it always the responsible working person who has to make the sacrifice? Why does her stability have to bend for his irresponsibility? There's a saying, don't light yourself on fire to keep others warm, and that's what's happening here. She's sacrificing her workspace, her peace, her job stability, to host someone who hasn't even shown a hint of urgency in finding work or a new place. That's not support. That's enabling. Now, let's talk about the husband. Marriage is supposed to be a team sport. But instead of standing by his wife, the person he built a life and a home with, he's siding with his brother. He's invalidating her stress, minimizing her job, and creating an environment where resentment grows. Because make no mistake, resentment is growing fast. Now, here's where the controversy comes in. Some people might say, it's just family. Be patient. Help him out. But the problem with that logic is that it assumes support means unlimited sacrifice. And that's just not realistic. True support isn't just letting someone crash on your couch. It's helping them come up with a plan. It's setting a deadline. It's saying, hey, we've got you, but only for 2 weeks. After that, we'll help you find another option. That's what real help looks like. Not passive silence, not enabling laziness, and certainly not making your partner feel like an outsider in their own home. At the end of the day, the question isn't, is she heartless? The question is, how long should someone destroy their own peace for someone else's comfort? And if your answer is, as long as it takes, then I urge you to ask yourself, what would you do if it were your job, your home, and your peace on the line? Because at some point, helping someone starts to feel like sacrificing yourself. And that's not okay. Now here's my personal take. No, you are absolutely not the asshole. You set a boundary, a reasonable one. And let's be clear, boundaries are not walls, they're gates. They're how you protect the things that matter, like your job, your mental health, and your relationships. The fact that you're being punished for voicing your limits is a red flag. Your husband needs to step up, not just as a brother, but as a partner. And your brother-in-law? He needs to wake up. Being jobless and homeless is not shameful. But taking no action to change it? That's where the shame comes in. This is your home. You're not a villain for wanting it to feel like one again. What do you think, viewers? Is she selfish? Or is she finally doing what too many people are afraid to do? Say, enough? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more AITA stories, where real people, real drama, and real dilemmas come to life.